Great players don't appear out of nowhere. The trajectory was there, in the spin rate, the prospect report, the contract structure, long before the world noticed. We find that trajectory every morning, pull the 3 stories that are actually moving the game, and break down what they mean before the day gets away. This is Street Plot Baseball. Let's get into it. The Texas Rangers are in the middle of a playoff race, sitting at over 60% odds to reach the postseason in the AL West. And their rotation is supposed to be one of the reasons why. Nathan Eovaldi is one of the most durable, respected arms they have. He's been doing this for 15 years. And right now, something underneath the surface of his season deserves your attention, because it could matter a lot for how Texas looks come August and September. Here's the thing about Eovaldi's 2026. On the surface, a 3.62 ERA sounds pretty good. That's a number you feel comfortable with. You see that and you think, okay, he's holding it together. But when you go a little deeper, the underlying numbers, what the contact against him actually looks like, paint a picture closer to a 4.12 ERA. And his FIP, which measures what he controls most directly, strikeouts, walks, home runs, is sitting at 4.40. That gap between what his ERA says and what the rest of the data says is a warning sign that some luck has been running in his favor. And then there are the home runs. He's already allowed 10 this season. His home run rate right now is meaningfully above where he's been throughout his career. Here's the thing. This isn't brand new. His home run rate has been creeping up year over year. It's a trend, not a blip. And at 94.6 miles per hour on his fastball, he's not a guy who overpowers people anymore. Hitters are making hard contact against him. Nearly 44% of balls in play are going out with real force. That's not the profile of a pitcher who's going to hold a 3.62 ERA all the way through October. Now let's put this in full context, because this is the part that makes the story bigger than just one season. Eovaldi is in the final year of a contract that pays him $25 million a year. He's a 15-year veteran. He came back from injuries that would have ended most careers. You know what he is? A competitor who throws strikes and takes the ball every 5th day. Last year, he was extraordinary, posting an ERA under 2. That was one of the best seasons of his career. This year, even accounting for some early good fortune, his ERA has gone up nearly 2 full runs from that peak. And he's on pace to throw significantly fewer innings than his career average. What does all of this mean for the Rangers fans sitting in the stands? It means the rotation depth that Texas thought they had walking into the season might be thinner than it looks right now. Eovaldi has made 5 quality starts this season, and he's been reliable in terms of taking the ball. But if the home runs keep coming, and the underlying data suggests they might, the Rangers are going to need other answers. And with the AL West tight, that matters now. The bigger picture question is one that only gets answered at the end of the season. With his contract expiring, will Eovaldi be back in Arlington next year, and at what price? A second half that looks more like his underlying numbers would make that conversation a lot more complicated. For him, and for a Rangers organization trying to stay in contention without busting the bank. Here's your one takeaway. Nathan Eovaldi's ERA looks better than it probably is right now. The home run rate is a real problem. It's been getting worse over several years, and a team in a playoff race can't afford to let that slide. Watch his second half closely. It'll tell you everything about where the Rangers' rotation picture stands heading into October. The New York Mets are trying to hold their ground in the NL East with just over a 45% chance of reaching the postseason, and their franchise cornerstone, Francisco Lindor, just landed on the injured list with a strained calf. That is not a sentence any Mets fan wanted to read this week. Lindor is the heartbeat of that team. He's the leader, the face, the guy the whole roster orbits around. When he goes down, it's not just about who replaces him in the lineup. It changes the feel of the whole ball club. Let's talk about what Lindor's absence actually cost this team, and then let's talk about what happens next, because the next chapter here is actually kind of interesting. Before the injury, Lindor was not having his best season. Sitting at a .226 batting average with 2 home runs, his production had been below where you'd want it from a player of his caliber. His WAR, a catch-all measure of how much a player is contributing on both offense and defense, was at just 0.3, which is basically replacement level. So the Mets weren't getting the version of Lindor they need. But here's the thing. Even a below-average Lindor provides defensive value, leadership, and the baseline production that any contending team counts on from their shortstop. Losing that for at least 10 days, possibly longer depending on how the calf responds, is a real blow. Now here's where it gets genuinely interesting. When a star player goes down, someone has to step in. And the name that comes up in this situation is Mitch Voit, a prospect the Mets have ranked among their top 20 in the organization. He's currently playing at the A+ level, not AAA, not AA, A+, which means under normal circumstances, a call-up to the big leagues would still be a couple of years away. His projected arrival in the majors has been 2028, but Lindor going on the IL doesn't follow normal circumstances. This injury accelerates the Mets' timeline decision. Do they call up Voit now, get him some exposure to the big league environment, and find out what they have sooner than they planned? The tools scouts like on Voit are real. He profiles as a hitter with solid contact ability and legitimate power potential. The kind of player who, if everything develops the way you hope, could develop into something meaningful at the big league level. But the key word there is develop. He is not a finished product. He is a name you should know, not a name you should expect to solve your problems right now. For the Mets, this is the kind of moment that reveals organizational depth, or the lack of it. They're a contending team. They cannot afford to just play through a 10-day absence and hope everything works out. They need answers at shortstop, and how they handle Lindor's absence over the next few weeks will tell us a lot about what they actually have behind their star players. The bigger picture here is this: when you're a team with 45% playoff odds in a tough division, you cannot lose your best position player and expect everything to hold. The Mets need Lindor back healthy, and they need him back soon. The upcoming schedule does them no favors. Your one takeaway? Francisco Lindor is down, and the Mets need him back healthy to stay in the NL East race. Watch his injury updates closely over the next 2 weeks. This one's worth following every day. The Colorado Rockies are rebuilding. That's the honest truth about where that organization is right now. And knowing that context makes what's happening with Tomoyuki Sugano one of the more fascinating stories in baseball this month. Not just for Rockies fans, but for every team in the league paying attention to the trade market. Sugano is posting a 3.86 ERA. On a rebuilding team that doesn't have a lot of individual stories worth celebrating, that kind of number stands out. 3.86. That sounds like a pitcher who's keeping you in ball games, competing, doing his job. And Sugano, who has been a respected pitcher for a long time, in Japan and in the majors, is someone you associate with craft and command. So your instinct might be to look at that ERA and say, yeah, that checks out. Here's what makes this story complicated. There is a number called xERA, expected ERA, which measures what a pitcher's ERA should be based on the quality of contact being hit against him. Think of it as cutting through the noise of whether balls happen to fall in or whether runners happen to score, and just asking, how hard are hitters actually hitting this guy? Sugano's xERA right now is 7.52. That's the one advanced metric worth sitting with here, because the gap between 3.86 and 7.52 is enormous. Nearly 4 full runs. What that means in plain language is this: hitters are absolutely hammering the ball against Sugano. Almost 48% of balls in play against him are going out hard. His barrel rate, how often hitters make the best possible contact, is elevated. The average exit velocity against him is over 91 miles per hour. The contact quality suggests a pitcher who is getting lit up. The ERA just hasn't caught up yet because of timing, sequencing, and the way outs have fallen. Now, Sugano's career shows he has historically outperformed his expected ERA by a little over a run, so some gap between his actual results and what the underlying numbers suggest is normal for him. He does things with deception and location that make the raw contact numbers less damning than they'd be for someone else. But even accounting for his career track record, the current gap is about 2.5 runs larger than his historical baseline. That is not normal. That is a performance that is borrowing from the future. And here's where the story gets really consequential. Sugano is in the final year of his contract, earning $5.1 million this year, walk year. Which means whatever value he has right now, this ERA, this reputation, is the ceiling of his trade value. For a rebuilding team like Colorado, that is a window, not a permanent one, a closing one. By August, if the regression hits the way the data says it probably will, his ERA is going to look a lot closer to that expected number. A 7.52 xERA does not just quietly go away. It tends to announce itself. And when it does, the trade leverage Colorado has right now, a veteran pitcher with a sub-4 ERA on a walk year, disappears. The Rockies don't have many chips to play in a trade market. Sugano right now is one of them. The irony is beautiful in a baseball way. On a team that isn't going anywhere this year, they have a pitcher posting numbers that look like a contender's mid-rotation arm. That packaging opportunity, a veteran with a clean ERA line and playoff experience, is sitting right there for any contender willing to take on the rest of his salary and bank on the surface results. Your one takeaway: Sugano's ERA is a mirage that's closing fast. If you're a Rockies fan, you want to see the front office move him before August, because what he looks like right now is the best he's going to look all season. That's the read on the day. The game moves fast. The data moves faster. Come back tomorrow and we'll be ahead of it again. This is Streak Plot Baseball, where greatness is never random.